international relations, balance of power is a very critical component. When in a multipolar global environment, a new challenger rises to alter the status quo, and like China is now doing in a very aggressive fashion. It is on a determined path to enhance its comprehensive national power. It has gone very methodically in first building up its economic power, and having consolidated economic power, it is now going on a major military expansion drive. It is seeking to challenge the existing global status quo, and to that extent it is posing a serious threat not only regionally but globally to the preeminence of the United States and of course the West. So it makes very eminent common sense for India to seek to balance, to bandwagon with like-minded democracies, a quadrilateral of democracies, if you will, to balance the power and reach and ambitions of an increasingly hostile and aggressive China bent upon expansion at the cost of its regional neighbors. So, India had joined the Quad, and the quadrilateral, as we know, consists of the United States, India, Japan and Australia, a quadrilateral of democracies trying to contain the threat from an increasingly aggressive and rising China. It made eminent national security common sense, if you will, at the time of Donald Trump, because he was engaged in a very aggressive drive to counterbalance the power of a rising China, which was trying to challenge the preeminence of the United States. Unfortunately, Donald Trump has since lost the elections, is no longer the President of the United States, and to that extent there is a major change in the calculus. And we have to now wait and see as to how the change of guard at Washington now pans out as far as the Quad is concerned. Joe Biden, with his withdrawal, precipitate and rather shameful withdrawal from Afghanistan, has really damaged the military reputation of the United States, and its dependability and reliability with its allies and friends and partners is concerned. That has been seriously damaged and eroded. In fact, there are commentators who are saying, is America past? Is the American movement over? Is America in decline already? Is it a superpower in steep decline or a gradual decline? That is what the world now seems to be waiting to find out. So these are uncertain times, and the Prime Minister has chosen a very apt time to go to the United States to address the UN General Assembly, to meet Joe Biden, to meet his partner leadership of the Quad, meet the Japanese Prime Minister, even though he is outgoing, meet the Australian Prime Minister, and then meet the President of the United States. Because we need to see clarity. Given the Joe Biden's administration's very stark letdown in Afghanistan, and its absolutely attitude of we couldn't care less as far as the interests, national interest of India and the other regional powers are concerned in Afghanistan. They have left behind $85 billion worth of weaponry for Taliban and Pakistan, and created serious problems for us. However, on the other hand, the counterpoint must also be stated. They have gone in for almost a military alliance between the Anglo-Saxon countries of USA, United Kingdom, Australia. They are going for a military alliance. They are giving selling to Australia. They have cancelled the deal with France and left a very enraged France. And they are now going in, instead of conventional powered submarines, they are going in for 8 nuclear power submarines, which the United States and the United Kingdom will help Australia construct. This is a significant development, and frankly, in military quantitative terms, it adds significantly to the power of the quadrilateral, not three quadrilateral countries, two quadrilateral countries, that is USA and UK, the kind of deployable forces that are available in the Indo-Pacific region takes a quantum jump with the addition of 8 nuclear-powered submarines with Australia. It definitely enhances the military power of Australia, which was feeling extremely threatened and vulnerable with the way the Chinese were acting with unbridled aggression towards it. But where does that leave India and Japan? Japan also has an alliance structure with the United States. The United States is committed to the defense of Japan, but United States made it pretty clear that India is not an ally, and as such it cannot expect the top of the line weapons. They have refused to even sell us the F-35 fifth generation fighters. There is no chance of India getting nuclear powered submarines from the United States. At least we haven't heard of any such case by now, and what we have generally seen is that the United States apparently seems very mindful of the impact any weapon acquisitions in India will have on Pakistan. President Joe Biden, I am very sorry to state, has a blind spot for Pakistan. As a vice president, he had gone to Pakistan, he had been given the highest civilian honor of Pakistan, and he felt extremely flattered. And somehow his ID fixe is that Pakistan are the good guys, though Pakistan has bruised the United States black and blue and all over. You know, the way Pakistan has misbehaved with the United States, it is utterly amazing how for 30 years the United States had taken it on the chin. Openly, Pakistan has gone to kill, American soldiers, to cause harm to American military personnel, to cause harm to America's image and standing and its national interest. And yet, less Donald Trump, most presidents have treated Pakistan with kid gloves. And somehow the thing came that Pakistan is indispensable because they needed to get the hell out of Afghanistan. Well, they are out of Afghanistan. But the whole world has seen in what way, in what manner, which is tantamount to a military disgrace. So the fact is that we need clarity, much more clarity as to what our expectations should be from the Quad. Will it be an Asian NATO? As of now, there looks to be nothing of that sort. The Asian NATO that is forming is, if it can be called Asian in any sense of the term, is in the Indo-Pacific at least. You are having the lineup of United States, United Kingdom and Australia, a military lineup. The Quad is more, as of now, a talk shop. The Quad does hold a series of military exercises which have their value in terms of enhancing interoperability, military to military cooperation, and sending a message across to the Chinese Navy, especially the Chinese Navy, which has been muscling in the South China Sea, East China Sea, and now trying to get into the Indian Ocean. So it does send major and significant military messages to China, to the PLA Navy, that there is a solid practical grouping coming up against you to challenge China's drive for hegemony in the South China Sea, in the East China Sea, and China's attempts to muscle into the Indian Ocean. There is a school of thought in India that because of India's geographical position, the peninsula of India juts out into the Indian Ocean, Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal triangle, like an unsinkable aircraft carrier. We sit astride all the Chinese sea lanes that come from Middle East and Africa, and of course by extension from Europe and America. We sit astride those sea lanes of communication. We are so close to the choke points. From Nicobar, Andaman Nicobar Islands, our planes can stop all Chinese traffic through the Malacca, Sunda and the Lombok Straits. So we are very well positioned to, if required, if push comes to shove, to cause grievous harm to Chinese maritime interests in the Indian Ocean region. So there is a school of thought that India should totally adopt a maritime strategy to counter China. I'm afraid this is slightly infantile. It has its logic. But can India ignore the land flank completely and say we choose to fight only on the sea? You will still have to fight on land. You will still have to defend Ladakh. You still have to defend Arunachal Pradesh. You still have to defend Sikkim, the whole McMahon line for that matter. So, you can't say we would prefer to fight on the sea and refuse to fight on land. You have no such luxury. You have to be prepared to fight both on land and on the sea, and quite obviously the sea flank is important and we should give it the due weightage. Our submarine arm is in a pathetic shape. We just have got 12 conventional submarines and one nuclear submarine, whereas we need to add at least about 18 to 20, almost optimal figure should be 30 air independent propulsion conventional submarines and at least 6 to 10 nuclear submarines. That is what we need. We are just not doing it. The only place India is finding to pinch pennies, and the whole effort is how do we cut costs from defense, how do we cut costs from defense. I am sorry, you are facing, your military challenges are escalating by the day. Not only are you facing a China-Pakistan combined, you are facing the Taliban in Afghanistan, you are finding a Turkey which is making unduly aggressive inroads into the South Asian region by trying, there are media reports of 3,000 Syrian terrorist fighters which Turkey is preparing to induct into Jammu and Kashmir. We'll have to wait and see. This is an act of war more or less, and they are giving drones to Pakistan, military hardware to Pakistan, they are wanting to step into the Bagram air base. So, to all this, it poses a serious threat to our security, and I'm afraid we will have to expand and modernize our armed forces at breakneck pace. If this is the time people choose to pinch pennies, well, I'm sorry, then we need a serious wake-up call. We cannot afford to stay in La La Land or Alice in Wonderland. We have serious threats coming our way. We were happy that the Chief of Defence Staff had come through, and to that extent, the defence acquisition process has been speeded up dramatically. That's a very good positive sign. But the way we are curtailing manpower, I'm afraid, is not a healthy sign in the light of enhanced threats. When the threats get enhanced, you have to enhance capability. You have to enhance your air power. You have to get beyond visual range fighters. You have to increase the squadron strength of your air force. You have to add at least three, you must have 3 aircraft carriers, you must have 30 conventional and at least 10 nuclear submarines, 6 to 10. You need that. There is no getting away from this. So, your desire to pinch pennies and spend more on, recapitalizing defunct banks or banks that are going kaput, that cannot take national priority over, the need to strengthen the armed forces at such a crucial juncture when your threats could never be higher. I repeat and I emphasize, you have China, you have Pakistan, you have Taliban, you have Turkey, and now you have the internal threat of the Maoists and the jihadis. You never had a greater spectrum of threats than you have now. China is trying to encircle you via the string of pearls. So, we will have to be fully alert and enhance our capabilities in view of the enhanced threats. One way to enhance your capabilities is by strategic partnerships. The Quad makes a lot of sense, providing it delivers on the promise. Because as of now, we find that it is more of a talk shop. Whether it will graduate from a talk shop to an Asian NATO on one end, or a more viable congruence of strategic national security interest, remains to be seen, and that is what our Prime Minister is going there to find out. At a point in time, the Americans have to be very careful. If they think they can balance China with the help of Pakistan, well then I am afraid they need a serious rethink of their love relationship with Pakistan. And there are serious wake-up calls coming from various strategic quarters in the United States, and I am sure at a point in time these will be heeded to, and a more clear-headed balance will have to come. And what role India will play, the previous presidents, starting from Obama and Donald Trump, were talking of India as the most, India-American partnership as the most vital, defining partnership of the 21st century. Will that continue to be so in the Biden era? Well, we will have to wait and watch. So while we wait and watch about Quad, which way it is going, what shape and form it will take, what will be the military sum and substance of the capability accretions that it would enable, we have to be very sure of one fact, that if push comes to shove, we might like to go in for, if this doesn't quite shape out the way that we want, we might like to go in for Asian partnerships. You know, great Tier 2 partnerships, especially with Japan, with Vietnam, with South Korea, if required with Taiwan. We will have to go in for Tier 2 localized Asian partnerships, strategic partnerships. We already have these with certain number of these countries. We need to deepen them up. We need to strengthen, we need to add muscle, especially the partnership with Japan, the partnership with Vietnam, and possibly close cooperation with Taiwan. We'll have to strengthen this, because if China can invest so much in Pakistan, arm it and make it a nuisance for India, well, India can pay that compliment back by playing the Taiwan and the Tibet cards. The second thing is, India is by itself strong enough. So there is no need to panic that sans any Quad relationship, India would be, very vulnerable to China. I don't think so. I don't think so. India is a nuclear power, and the test firing of the Agni at the juncture, at a time when Prime Minister Modi is in United States and addressing the UN General Assembly, is a very pertinent, very clear message to the rest of the world, and especially to those states like China and Pakistan, which are being implacably hostile towards India. Well, they need to smell the coffee. They will need to smell the coffee. India is a nuclear power. It is the second largest army, the fourth largest navy, the fourth largest navy, the fifth largest air force in the world. So we have terrific nuclear and conventional capabilities. We are becoming self-reliant. Our autarky in weapon systems is increasing by the day, especially with the involvement of our private sector, our public-private partnerships. India is a power to reckon with. We can take care of ourselves, but we can do it with lesser effort if we go in for the right architecture of alliances, stroke strategic partnership, stroke strategic congruences of interest and action. Thank you.